everybody, MegaBlitzz back. In today's video, we'll be covering the top 16 deck lists from Peoria Regionals. However, I did not get to attend, but I did watch all of Day 1 and Day 2 Swiss rounds, and I watched all of Top Cut, and man, it was a blast to watch. I had tons of fun, and it was incredible. I'll talk about the deck list I would have played had I gone, and I would like to hear the deck list that you guys played if you did attend, or if you didn't attend, what did you do? So don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment down below. If you did go, what did you play? Where did you place? If you didn't go, what would you have played? I would love to hear these things. Also, if you guys noticed the pink stuffed animals behind me here, my girlfriend and I did go to our local arcade. Turns out I'm cracked at claw machines. It turned out she's cracked at the dice rolling like pickup game. So we end up with tons of stuffed animals, which is always a fun time. So let's take a look at this top 16 Peoria regional deck lists. Alrighty, guys, and here we are starting off with our 16th place Mew VMAX DTE Mew. Like the control version, going with your Path of the Peaks and your Box of Disaster for that Gardevoir matchup, and featuring a brand new card. The only thing that's really changed about most DTE lists, I mean, adding a penny is a little bit different. You don't see that too often, but 3 Grabber. Card's insane. Your opponent reveals their hand and you put a Pokemon you find there on the bottom of their deck. It's really, really good, especially in this like control version of Mew. I love this card. It's really, really good. And even if you whiff on finding a Pokemon in their hand, you still get to see what's in their hand, which is crazy to me. And I just love to see it. So with our 15th place deck here, we have Gardevoir EX. Notable things to mention that's different about this one is there's no reversal energies and no Mirage Step Curlia. Other than that, it's literally the same. I mean, you can play Mirage Step Curlia or just play a 4th Refinement Curlia. You can play reversal energies. If you don't, you're probably only playing, like, what, 1 reversal energy, and then maybe you're playing, like, additional supporter and cutting, like, 2 psychic. But this person decided to go with 4 Refinement Curlia and 12 Psychic Energy, and it worked for them. Hey, they took 15th, guys. Love to see it. Playing a Spirit Tomb, which is really good. Shuts down, because you don't care to shut down yours AC a lot of times because you're just trying to power it up with Psychic Embrace. But you do shut down, Luminium Vs or other decks that benefit from playing Pokemon V, which is really, really good. And Pokemon V-Stars and things of that nature. So, nothing too crazy about this list here. With our 14th place deck, we have Charizard EX. Notable things to mention here is the Charmander is the 70 hit point Charmander from 151 with its attack Blazing Destruction. Discard a Stadium in play. Discard that Path to the Peak. Get it the heck out of there, because if they play Path to the Peak before you've gotten to an Infernal Rain, it's not great. Because you really want to get that Infernal Rain off so you can just start putting energies on a bunch of stuff. Other than that, guys, the deck's really the same. I mean, playing Lost Cities is a little bit different. A lot of these decks are playing Artisan, but I understand why you would play Lost City for that, like, Lostbox matchup. If you expect to go up against a lot of Lostbox, and Lost City's out, when you go to KO that Sableye, or that Radiant Greninja, or, a Cramorant, they can't get it back with Super Auto Clara, so playing Lost City does make sense, and Lostbox was all over the place at this regional. So let's jump into our 13th place deck list here. Maron EX, nothing too crazy. The only thing that's really different is Mew EXs in the deck. Other than that, guys, this is literally like copy paste from every Maron list I think we've ever seen. I mean, I guess switches instead of switch cards, but that's about it really. I guess if you're worried about them going like boss up your Flaffy and you can't switch card out of it, that makes sense, but switches for switch cards and then Mew EX. That's the only thing different. Other than that, this is just standard fast Miraidon, 4 Path of the Peak, energy's high, all gas, no brakes. And I love it. I love playing fast aggressive decks like this, especially in a best of 3 format. You really want to try to get to all 3 of those games, because decks like Gardevoir and decks like Lostbox can go to time a lot. Miraidon normally doesn't do that, right? Because you're just going fast as possible. So coming up to our 12th place deck here, we have another Charizard EX deck. The only thing notable different about this one is instead of playing the Blazing Destruction Charmander, so they're playing more copies of it, they're playing a different Charmander with its attack Ember for double fire energy 40, discard an energy from this Pokemon. I don't quite get it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I feel like at that point you just play a 4th copy of the Blazing Destruction one. I mean, I guess unless you're really trying to like attack early on with Charmander, but I don't know. They did better than I ever probably would, so hey, beats me, man, right? You're playing Vengeful Punch, so you can kind of counter that Chen Pao and counter, Gardevoir hitting really big numbers and kind of punishing them a little bit. It is kind of crazy to see them playing Path to the Peak in the deck, but I guess super late game, if you don't really need to do anything, you already got your Infernal Rains and stuff set up, and you don't really need to be finding cards with Pidgeot anymore. Just play Path to the Peak and just kind of say, here, deal with this. If you're gonna like boss stall me and stuff, then Path to the Peak, you have no abilities. So I guess it does make sense. All right, with our 11th place deck here, we do have a Turbo Lostbox deck. The only thing that's crazy different about this one, it is playing Ditto. I like Ditto. I think Ditto's a great card. I think it's only good in certain decks. I think playing Ditto in a Lugia V-Star deck makes 0 sense. Just play a 4th Lugia V. There's no need to play a Ditto, right? Like, it doesn't make sense. So, I don't know. That's just me, I guess. In this deck, it does make a lot of sense because you are playing for Comfey, and if you start with Ditto, you can just swap it out for a Comfey, and that makes sense since you can get those flower settings nice and early on, and I do like to see it. And other than that, guys, this deck, it's pretty standard, just cookie cutter. I mean, playing 4 Super Rod for a lot of just reoccursion instead of playing Clara, but if you're going to be drawing into a bunch of cards, then it makes sense, right? And coming into our 10th place deck here, we do have another Charizard EX deck. This is the one you see all over the ranked ladder. At least I see it all over the ranked ladder. 4 copies of the Charizard Blazing Destruction, your Charmeleon, your 3 Charizard EXs, 2 Mew, 2 Pidgeot, 2 Pidgey. Kind of just cookie cutter. Entei V is the other big attacker that's in this deck. It's kind of that secondary attacker they use a lot of the times. But, I don't know, Lost City for that Turbo Lostbox matchup in a lot of the Lostbox decks, it makes sense because you want to shut down them being able to Lost Mine repeatedly. So, it does make a lot of sense. Alright, coming into our 9th place here, right? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, 9th place. 9th place, we do have another Maron deck. The crazy thing to know about this deck is it is playing Flying Pikachu VMAX and the V, because a lot of decks were just playing V for the free retreat cost, right? But in this deck, they're playing the Flying Pikachu VMAX on top of it to kind of deal with other Maron decks, probably, or Chen Pao, things of that nature that are using those those basic Pokemon to be attacking with. Also playing Mew EX. Love this card. I think it is great in a lot of decks, especially in Maron, where sometimes your hands are very small and you're kind of just like top decking, right? You're just drawing a card and you have like 1 card in hand, maybe 2 cards in hand, heck, even sometimes 0 cards in your hand. You can just restart ability, draw 3 cards, really powerful, really strong. Maron is a really good deck, especially in best of 3 formats. It's fast, it's aggressive, you get to see that third game a lot of the times, and it kind of eliminates a lot of ties, I feel like. You're also playing a Pokegear, so you can probably find like Judges or Ionos or Arvins and stuff. I don't know, you could just play something different if you really want to. I also do like Pokegear because then you can just go, okay, Pokegear, hit top 7, alright, I found Judge, boom, and then just play Judge. It is nice. I understand why they would play the 1 copy. It makes a lot of sense. The reason they're playing the Switch over a Switch card, not entirely too sure, because Flying Pikachu VMAX and Mew EX have free retreat, so I feel like there's a lot of your pivots a lot of the times, because they do have free retreat. The only thing I could see is going like Flying Pikachu VMAX and you're active, using Switch to put up like Raikou to Fleetfoot, maybe, or if Flaffy's in your active, you can play Switch because Switch card won't work. So I guess that kind of also makes sense. I'm not too sure. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on that. I don't know. It makes sense to me in some ways, but other ways it kind of doesn't. All right. We're getting into our top 8 here with Chen Pao EX with its crazy just canceling clone abilities that it can do with that Radiant Greninja play. We all love to see this combo deck all over the place. It's just your standard Chen Pao. It really is. I mean, 4 Battle VIP, 4 Superior Energy. I mean, I guess some lists play 3 Superior Energy retrievals, and then play like an additional Iono or something. But you do play the big combo. Your big combo is trying to go Excalibur, put 3 energies onto Radiant Greninja, boss up or cross switcher. Well, I guess cross switcher because it doesn't play boss. Cross switcher up, Manaphy, and then just getting Radiant Greninja in your active in some sort of capacity, canceling Cologne, snipe 2. Right? Being able to like snipe a bunch of different times is really, really strong against, especially if you're expecting Lostbox to be here. Because if Lostbox is going to be all over, then you can really just take advantage of the Sableye and the Comfeys and things of that nature on their bench, which is really, really nice. All right, coming in our 7th place here, we do have another Gardevoir EX, and this is the one that we've been seeing a lot, right? This is the Mirage Step and the Reversal Energies. The only addition that's different here is Mew EX. This card is going to be very popular, guys. It just is, with its restart ability, drawing 3 cards, Genome Hacking, being able to use any attack your opponent's active Pokemon has for 3 energy is really, really strong, and it has free retreat. The only downside is Dark types are really powerful right now in the format, with Charizard EX, just Single Strike Lugia still kind of being around, and things of that nature do make it a little more difficult. And even Drapion, right? Like you could just attach energies for Drapion and just punch it. That also will work. But other than that, guys, this is a pretty standard list for the most part. You know, I do see some decks playing like an additional boss or, you know, maybe an additional rare candy or something and playing 1 worker instead. But this list is coming to 2 workers, which I do like. Being able to discard like whatever stadium my opponent puts out. You know, if my opponent's playing like Chien-Pao, you know, worker, discard your stadium, draw 3 cards. Or discard Path of the Peak, draw 3 cards. Discard whatever, Temple of Sinnoh. Discard whatever stadium my opponent has in play that I don't want them to have that's benefiting them or is hindering me potentially. Just discard, draw 3. Really, really strong. All right, coming into our 6th place here is Lostbox Radiant Charizard. I did not expect this deck to be popular. I did not expect this deck to make it in the top 8 at all. But it did, you know, and it works. It's the, you know, you play the Ditto to swap it out with the Comfey in the beginning of the game. You play Articuno, your basic water Pokemon attacks, except any Articuno, do additional damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So Cramorant does do 120, which is really good. So it is really nice. And you play that Hawlucha to be able to just Hawlucha, put 2 on, right? So like you can kind of make KOing things a little more easier because, like, let's say if you're playing against, you know, a deck that has different Pokemon all over it, right? Where they have like not quite enough hit points where you need to be. You can just Hawlucha, hit 2, and then take potentially an additional knockout with your Lost Mine attack, or just get it that much closer, which does make it really nice to be able to kind of handle that. I don't know too much about Lostbox Charizard. I'm not gonna pretend like I do. But this list does look really cool. I am really excited just to import it into Pokemon Live and just try it and see what happens. All right, so we're going to have back-to-back Miraidon lists here for 5th and 4th place, and they're probably going to be very similar. I wouldn't expect them to be. This is the just fast Miraidon list with Pikachu V for the retreat and just Path to the Peak, high energy count, and just all gas as fast as you can. And just go, right? So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Playing 1/4 Steel Stone over 2. I get it. It makes sense. You know, as long as it's not in your prize, it's fine, right? Like, even if it is, you're just going fast. We're really hoping for that first turn attacking, just take a KO. You're just really hoping to outpace your opponent and just outspeed your opponent as fast as you possibly can. All right, 4th place, another Miraidon list. Literally almost the exact same, right? This one doesn't play Mew. This one is playing Mew. So Mew EX is, I guess, is a big difference here. And 3 Path to the Peak, 2 Beach Court. So I guess these are actually pretty different. So I do apologize for that. But you know, it's the same thing, right? Your Miraidon decks just trying to punch face as fast as possible. Mew EX to draw additional cards, or just being able to use it as a powerful attack. Genome Hacking is really, really, really good, and I do love to see it here. You know, playing 3 Ultra Ball to be able to find, you know, your Flaffies and stuff's really good, or just being able to discard things. Squawk ability, just be able to Squawk and Seize. Squawking ability is really good in certain decks. It's good in Lugia, it's good in Miraidon. I don't think it's good in much other decks, because a lot of other decks don't want stuff to be discarded because they're kind of toolboxy, but Miraidon and Lugia are just like, I don't mind having stuff in my discard pile, right? Like, Miraidon doesn't mind having energies in discard pile. Lugia loves having, you know, Archeops in discard piles. So, totally makes sense here. All right, for our 3rd place, we have another control deck with Mew VMAX DTE version. We are playing 2 Grabber. This is literally almost copy paste from our 16th place list. The only difference is Luxray V for 1 less Grabber. The other list played 3 Grabber. This one plays 2 in a Luxray V. Luxray V is a really good card. Your opponent reveals their hand, discard a trainer card you find there. Really, really strong. I do like this card a lot. It's played in like Sanders' control box list, I believe. It makes a lot of sense. Just DTE attach. You know, you do 10 damage, sure, whatever, but you get to see what supporter they have. So if your opponent is playing like Charizard, just being like Luxray V, boom, discard your Arvin. You can't go Rare Candy, Charizard EX, or you can't go Rare Candy, Baxcalibur, right? Discard Irida. Things of that nature is really, really good against Lugia, right? Just go Lugia, discard Professor Brunette. Really strong if you can time it properly, and I do love to see that. All right, so that's for our 3rd place list. For our 2nd place list here, we have another Turbo Lostbox deck. Turbo Lostbox, you know, nothing too crazy. We are playing 4 Super Rod, 1 Clara, so we do have that additional recovery for late in the game to make sure we're constantly getting those Lost Mines off, or being able to put our Dragonite V or Radiant Greninja or Raikou V back into our deck, or getting our energies back into the deck, which is really, really good. And we are playing that nice Echoing Horn to be able to go Echoing Horn, fill up your bench, and make sure you have no bench space left, and then just take KOs on small things if we need to, or any things of that nature, which is really good. You don't really need to play like anything more than 2 or 3 Lost Vacuum in these kind of decks. I don't know. It's, you know, nothing too crazy. The crazy part is our number 1 place deck, another Lost Zone Kyogre deck. That is the one that I had won Pittsburgh Regionals. I don't know if the lists are the same. However, we do have our Lost Zone Kyogre winning deck list here for 1st place. I don't know a whole lot about Lost Zone decks, guys. I really don't. But what I do know is Kyogre's really, really strong. Being able to just Aqua Storm, discard 5 cards, and then just hit huge numbers all over the place is super strong and can really win the game. But these kind of decks do require really high skill ceiling here to play. You know, 2 Energy Recycler to get those energies back in the deck late in the game for that huge Kyogre play. And Lost Vacuum, being able to just bump things you need to, you know, Echoing Horn to clog up your opponent's bench, or being able to just take another knockout on something small really quick and easy is really good. We are playing heavy Hisuian Heavy Ball to be able to find that Kyogre out of our prizes. Because if Kyogre's prized and you're playing against those decks where you need that Kyogre combo play, you need to get Kyogre out, right? So you're playing that. You're also playing it for like the Zamazenta, I'm sure, to be able to get that out, or just anything, right? You know, get the Pidgeot out so you can, you know, use its ability Vanishing Wings and things of that nature. And I do love to see this. I don't know. So that is the top 16 decks. So now let's jump into what deck I would have played had I gone to Peoria Regionals. Alrighty, guys, and here we are talking about the deck I would have played had I gone to Peoria Regionals. Now, let's not be surprised here. I would have played Single Strike Lugia. I know this deck the best. I've played it the most. I'm the most, you know, fluent with it, I guess. It's the deck I understand the most. It's the deck I know. It's the deck I've played with. It's the deck I've practiced with. I don't think it was positioned well for this format at all. I really don't. I think Colorless Lugia was positioned better. I actually had predicted that it would get into top 8 or even potentially win Peoria, and it didn't. But there wasn't even a single deck in top 16 of Lugia, right? There was not a single Lugia deck in top 16 of Peoria. However, I still would have played this, and this is the version I would have played. It's nothing too crazy, you know, 4-3 split of Lugia V and V-Star. We're playing 2 Tyranitar, our 1 Cobalion to deal with Charizard. We are playing 1 penny to pick up our Tyranitar, our Lemonian V, or whatever Pokemon I need to get out of my active spot. Sometimes I've had to go like penny, pick up my Cobalion, get it out of the active spot, put up Lugia V-Star, take a knockout this turn. Something of that nature. I do like playing 1 Jet Energy instead of 3 Gift Energy. I really do. Being able to sometimes to just go Jet Energy, attach from my hand, move this up, never have to retreat, or anything of that nature. If I'm retreating, if I need to retreat to get something out of the active or what have you, it does really feel nice to have that 1 Jet Energy. So this is a deck I would have played had I gone to Peoria Regionals. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let's jump into this outro. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet, don't forget to leave a like, smash the subscribe button, drop a comment down below. If you went to regionals, what deck did you play and what place did you come in? And if you didn't go, what deck would you have played? We already talked about the deck I would have played. We already went over all the top 16 deck lists, and there was tons of different ones in there, and it was tons of fun to go over and just talk about them with you guys here. I don't know. I really like where the current format is right now. It's very healthy. There feels like there's a lot of competitive decks that people can play. You know, even Single Strike Lugia probably wouldn't have been a god-awful choice for this, right? You know, Arctina with like Superior Flying Pikachu VMAX would have not been a god-awful choice. Like, there are a lot of competitive decks and a lot of decks that are very viable right now, and I'd love to see that as a sign of a healthy format in my opinion, and I do love to see that. So, thank you so much for watching. I don't know, this is my first time ever going over anything like this. Let me know what you guys think if you want to see this kind of stuff more in the future. I had tons of fun doing it and just trying to wrap my head around the stuff that was going on and what decks did well and how they worked and why they played certain tech cards and things of that nature. So, alright guys, we'll talk later. Peace!